Good morning, dear respected teacher, dear brothers, dear sisters, and dear friends. Welcome to the Dharma Talk this morning. We're live from Magnolia Grove Monastery. This morning, we invite you to enjoy the chant praising the three jewels together as a whole community.
Contemplation before chanting. The Sangha is invited to come back to our breathing so that our collective energy of mindfulness will bring us together as an organism, going as a river with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, chant as one body, listen as one body, and transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating ourselves from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex. The Buddha Shu shines infinitely, enlightened for countless lifetimes. The beauty and stability of Buddha sitting is seen in mountains and rivers. How splendid is the vulture king, how beautiful the light that shines forth from Buddha's crown, illumining the system. Dear respected teacher, dear beloved monastic community, and dear friends from all over the United States. Can you hear me okay? Can you give me thumbs up if you can hear me? And can you smile to me? I'm able to see you on the screen. Whenever I move my head to this side, please know that I'm looking at you because we have this big television right on my left. I want to feel more connected to you. So I asked the tech team to please bring you closer to me. Today is Friday, May 28th, in the year 2021, and we are live at Magnolia Grove Monastery in Batesville, Mississippi. And we are all sitting in the Rising Tide Meditation Hall. The organizing team asked me to talk about nourishing our relationship with true understanding. So I will take some time to invite you to feel connected with Magnolia Grove Monastery first, to see if you want to be in a relationship with Magnolia Grove Monastery. So I will ask Brother Dao Gui, the camera person, to give you a tour of the Rising Tide Meditation Hall. So, brother, could you please zoom to my right over here? As you notice that in this retreat, Sister Thề, Nghiem, and Brother Phap Lu shared about our ancestors, and in all of our centers, we have an ancestral altar. And on there, you see the statue of Master Khương Tăng Hội, the first Zen master in Vietnam. Not Bodhidharma, but it's Master Khương Tăng Hội. And that table was handmade by Uncle Rick and Brother Phap Luân back in 2013. And as Brother Dao Gui zoomed closer to the piece of art with a picture of Dr. Martin Luther King and our teacher that held a press conference in the 1960s when our teacher visited the United States and to ask Dr. King for his help in calling the end of the Vietnam War. Brother Dao Gui, could you please move the camera to the top of the meditation hall so our friends can see the majestic view. That is the stainless steel glass. Never mind. Okay. This is a chance for Brother Dao Gui to do what I asked him to do. Oftentimes he doesn't. Okay. So this meditation hall was built in 2013. And most of the work were done by the monastic and dedicated practitioners, friends who came to help us. And we put piece by piece of the cedar wood. And it was done right in time when a teacher visited the monastery in 2013. That stained glass, you see, is the Buddha holding a bell on one hand, and on the other hand, he's putting his hand on top of Mother Earth, reminding us that each of us, we have the responsibility to heal the earth, to protect the earth. And the Buddha showed us by living his example, because he is known as teaching and living the way of awareness in the very midst of suffering and confusion. Shakyamuni Buddha, the fully enlightened one. That is the true Buddha. And Brother Dao Quy, could you please zoom in on monastics and we'll see who is hiding themselves? So I'm sure when the monastics see the camera zooming at them, they will smile. These are our brothers and sisters who have helping Magnolia to create a peaceful place for many friends to come and practice. That's Brother Dao Quang from Germany. And could you please record the tag team? Let's see if they are working diligently. See, it's funny, they were standing, and then they suddenly sat down and hid themselves. When I asked Brother Dao Quy to record them, please wave at our tag team. These are the monastics that help to make all of our events possible live. Thank you so much. We have Brother Kỳ Ngô, Sister Tân Nghiem, Sister Điều Nghiem, and Brother Phúc Triển. Okay, now you can zoom. This, what? Sister. Oh, show the sisters. Can you please zoom the sisters over here? Sisters, could you please look at the camera and wave at the camera? There you go. Hello, everybody. Don't be shy. The most nervous person is me. Yes, so we hope that one day you will be able to come to Magnolia to visit us and to sit in this meditation hall as we listen to the Dharma talk and sitting meditation together. Thank you so much, Brother Dao Quy. And now you can zoom on me. Let us listen to one sound of the bell. Dear beloved community, my name is Sister Bồi Nghiem, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. It is a great joy for me to be sitting here to share with you about my practice. And being a Dharma teacher, we have many opportunities to share with you our joy, our happiness, and also our struggles in the practice. No matter how many Dharma talks I have given or I will give, but to be sitting up here is an opportunity for me to practice being humble, being honest, and at the same time, being vulnerable. We don't only just share about the fruits of our practice, but we also share about
the difficulties, the challenges that we are currently having. And I hope that through this honesty, authenticity, and keeping things real, we are able to connect more on a more personal level. The organizing team asked me about a month ago to give this Dharma talk. And to tell you the truth, I don't like it when I have to know a month ahead that I will give a Dharma talk, because it can be worrisome and a burden for one whole month. And that's why I'd rather know it 3 days before to make my life easier. But I feel this is also a training, a practice for me to welcome whatever that comes in life, whether I like it or not, whether I appreciate it or not. And so, in preparing for this Dharma talk, I took refuge on google.com. And my brothers and my sisters and also friends in the LGBTQIA+ community. When we talk about relationships, what comes to our mind? Is it the people that we are close to? Is it our own thoughts? Is it the relationship we have with ourselves? Is it with Mother Nature? I asked Brother Nghiem to create a poll that you can help answer a question. The question is, which relationship do you want to improve, strengthen, reconcile, and beautify to increase your nourishment and healing? Brother Nghiem, could you please make this poll available so our friends can participate? Dear friends, please select the one that is closest to your heart. And whenever you feel everybody answer the question, could you please share the result with us? Do you have the result yet, Brother Nghiem? Ah, there it is. 55 of you would like to reconcile, improve, strengthen, and beautify your relationship with yourself. 39 with your beloved ones. 41 with your own thoughts. And only 8% of you are content with all of your relationships. Thank you so much, dear friends, for answering my question. This will give me a better idea on what I should focus on in my Dharma talk, so that it's my hope to help you in any way that I can. For all of us sitting here, English is our first language. So there are some words that we know since we were very young, and we don't bother to look them up in the dictionary. Because we believe that it's a simple word. There's nothing special about it. But today, I want to invite you to change your way of thinking and start to look up in the dictionary words that are close to you, and to ask yourself, was my understanding correct? Am I caught in what I know? And so, I did not want to be so confident in my own understanding of the word relationship. So I went online, search up for the meaning of the word relationship. And I visit the etymology dictionary, từ nguyên học etymology. And did you know that the word relationship first appeared in 1735 to 1745? And it wasn't until 1944 that it was implied specifically of romantic and sexual relationships. So for 2 centuries, the word relationships basically just mean for blood, marriage, relative, or kinship, and not exclusively to romantic or sexual relationships. And now let us dig deeper to know the history, the origin, and the true meaning of relationships. I am looking at you. Can you wave at me? Thank you for being here. You all look beautiful. And I hope DP host, can we take a screenshot of this right now? Because you all look so beautiful. Can we all smile and each one of us can do a sign that represents love? And so we can make a screenshot together. Yes, love. There you go. Thank you. See, looking at you helped me to relax. I don't have to feel so anxious about giving this Dharma talk. Yeah. So let us look deep into the word relationship. It means that it's the way in which 2 or more concepts, objects, or people are connected. Two or more in which the way in which two or more concepts, people are connected. And I think that the part that I want all of us to focus on is the word connected, two or more. Second meaning, it can mean the internal, interpersonal relationship a strong, deep, or close association. Or acquaintance. Between two or more people. Now, on the second one, I would like to underline the word strong, deep, and close. So we can conclude that when we talk about relationship, we should talk about connection. Connection between two or more people. But as you know, language changes over time because our way of thinking changes over time. So in the year 2021, when we talk about relationship, we don't just focus on people, right? But we can also focus on Mother Earth, oneself, and on thoughts. And so today in my Dharma talk, I want to focus on 4 types of relationship. The first one is a relationship with our own thoughts. Second, relationship with our family members. Third, relationship with romantic love. May I have a raise of hand who is now in love right now? In a romantic relationship? Okay. And for those of you who are not, I'm glad to see you are smiling. You are in love with the present moment. You are in love with yourself. I am not in a romantic relationship, but I am in many other relationships. And also relationship with oneself. Who do we spend the most time with in our life? Who will lay next to us in our coffin? Our own self. And so this is a very important relationship that I will elaborate later on. And when we look at the word relate, I wish I am tall like Brother Phap Lu or Sister Thầy Nghiem, so I can make good use of the whole board, because I'm only 4'11", but I can only use a small portion of the board. So please bear with me, okay? See, the word relate. Do you know that the word relate means to restore, bring back, it can also mean make last, solidify, strengthen, repay. And one interesting meaning, give up. Isn't that interesting? The word relate also means give up. Relate. So when we look up the word relations and relate, the meaning is very beautiful. There must be a reason why the scholars came up with this word relationship and explained to us every little detail about it so that we can come back and ask ourselves, is this how my relationship is? Am I in that direction? So relations and relate means to make lasting, to suffer without breaking, to suffer without breaking. To maintain. Brother Dao Quy, could you please zoom so our friends can see? Take a moment and ask yourself, are you able to do all this to restore, bring back, make last, solidify, strengthen, repay in your relationship? Or are we in the process of giving up a relationship? Are we suffering without breaking with our loved ones, with our own self? For those of you who are interested in studying the brain, neuroscience, perhaps you know that we produce 98,000 thoughts every day. And these thoughts are repetitive, day after day. If we know the practice, we can transform some of these thoughts. And if we do not know the practice, we can easily drown ourselves and put these thoughts into action. I want to dedicate this first part of the Dharma talk to the LGBTQIA+ community. In the past few weeks, my sister and I, we took some of our personal time to speak to our LGBTQIA+ friends, to learn more about you, to understand your struggles, your understanding, so that I myself don't make the same mistakes that I did in the past, or that many people done in the past. Our society have hurt you enough. Your beloved ones harmed you enough. And you choose to come to the Plum Village tradition to find peace, love, and refuge. And if I myself don't understand your suffering because of my insensitivity, my unskillfulness, I say words that hurt you. Then you lose hope you might see that there's no place for you anywhere in the world. You choose to take refuge in a spiritual community because you see that this is the last place of hope for you. And I myself, as a member of the Plum Village community, I want to be that person, to understand, to help, to heal, and to open to learn. Because I know that you've been through so much pain and suffering. Imagine being born, growing up. You identify yourself as a lesbian, as gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual. Psychiatrists, psychoanalysts, religious leaders, teachers, family members conclude that you have mental illness because of this. How many of us know the real struggles that our LGBTQIA plus friends have endured, and also our BIPOC friends? That's why in this Dharma talk, I really want us to open our heart, open our mind, to learn from these friends, to listen to their stories, and not just to believe what was once written on research paper. Because research paper back in 1960s, back in 1970s, and way before that, concluded that our LGBTQIA plus friends have mental illness, mental disorder. And this came from scholars. So as individual, when is it our turn to change our way of thinking toward the marginalized groups? If not now, then when? June is the LGBTQIA plus Pride Month, and May, which is now, is the Asian Pacific Islander Month in the United States. And if we are mindfulness practitioners, we seize all opportunities to learn. Openness is one of the 14 mindfulness trainings that we are invited to practice in our daily life, and non-attachment to views. I want to share with you some facts with not the intention to make our LGBTQIA plus community suffer more, but to raise the awareness in our community to see this was what happened in the past. And that is why my own thoughts, my own narrowness, my own ignorance existed for so many years. Whenever I knew somebody identify themselves as LGBTQIA+, dear beloved community, did you know that it wasn't until 1973 that the American Psychiatric Association removed the diagnosis of homosexuality from the second edition of its diagnostic and statistical manual? They had certain theories about homosexuality. The first one is the theory of pathology. They believe that adult homosexuality as a disease. And they viewed homosexuality as a sign of defect, or even morally bad and social evil. There was this psychiatrist and psychoanalyst named Edmund Bergler, infamously wrote in a book for general audience. He wrote, "I have no bias against homosexuals. For me, they are sick people requiring medical help." How do we feel when we listen to this kind of statements? And I'm sure there's compassion in your heart. So you see the importance of our thoughts. Because if we are so adamant, believing our thought is right, once we put them down on paper, others will read it. And they will believe it, live by it, and make others suffer. I use the example of LGBTQIA because it's something I've put time into researching. But we can use this example for other examples. How we view ourselves, how we view our beloved family members. How we view other people. We always have to check ourselves and ask this question, are we sure? Because like our teacher said, most of the time our perceptions are wrong. So for young people sitting here, I am looking at you, future psychiatrists, future doctors, future social workers, future healers. This generation has to be different. We can do much better than the past generation. When we look at someone who identifies themselves as LGBTQIA+, a BIPOC friend walking on the street, we can say silently to ourselves, this person is a Buddha to be, has this awakening nature. And all this person want and need is peace and happiness. Regardless of their gender identity, regardless of the skin of their color. And you know, one gay friend put it so beautifully that gender is not an obstacle to enlightenment. He is the true continuation of the Buddha. Because I'm sure the Buddha once said the same. That's why he allowed the nuns to join the monastic community, because he was able to see the nun can also attain enlightenment like the monks. To me, the Buddha is the earliest revolutionary person, spiritual teacher in history. I might be wrong. You know, a few years ago, we had a lesbian friend who asked permission to come stay at the monastery as a long term. When I heard this request, I was very afraid and worried inside. I remember my own thoughts. First, what happened if this lesbian friend falls in love with one of the sisters? Would I feel safe around her presence? That person hasn't arrived yet, and yet I'm sitting here thinking that person is a threat to the community, is a threat to my own practice because of their gender identity. And when she came, I was hesitant at first. But then I listened to her stories of why she chose to come to Magnolia Grove Monastery in Mississippi to practice. My view about her changed right away. She was in the midst of wanting to end her life because she suffered so much. Just had a breakup with a girlfriend. She didn't want to live anymore. And she thought the only way out was to kill herself. But perhaps she wanted to give herself another chance. So she came to a spiritual place. How can we see that person as a threat when we are able to see the pure intention of that person wishing to come to the monastery to practice? And after getting to know her, I see her as a compassionate person, as someone who is very kind and loving, who would always be there to help the sisters when we needed her to help. So before she left, I didn't remember her as a lesbian friend only, but I remember her as a caring person, as someone who wants to live this life. So let us be careful with our own thoughts, especially thoughts that are detrimental. Thinking itself is an action already. And if we are not mindful enough, we say it out, we do it, we are creating such wounds in so many people's hearts that it would take them so many years to transform. Don't sit there and blame that person and ask that person, why is it taking you so long to transform your wounds? But we should ask ourselves, what can I do better right now and tomorrow so that I don't create more suffering? When I heard one friend share with me that when she came out to her mom as a lesbian, she's Vietnamese. Her mom called her súc vật. You are an animal. Are we able to feel the pain of this friend's pain? Another friend shared when she came out to her parents at the age of 19. Her mother vomited. Her dad left the room. She tried many ways to kill herself, harm herself, and her parents didn't do anything to stop. Because they believed that either way, she would go to hell. He would go to hell. I'm sorry. The pronouns of this person are he and him. He would go to hell. Killing oneself, he would go to hell. remain gay will go to hell. So the parents chose, let my child find ways to harm themselves so that they don't bring shame to the family. So these stories help me to change my view, help me to change my thinking. And I hope that they also help you to change your thinking. And I know that there are family members out there who sing with joy. Happiness feels in their heart when their beloved ones say that, I am gay, I'm lesbian. Yay, you're finally coming out. We do have grandparents, parents, relatives who are like that, and that gives me hope. You know, before, if somebody came to me and say, Sister Bồi Nghiem, I am a lesbian, I am gay, I am trans, I would be like, oh. I would have those kind of reaction. Why? Because I was surrounded by people who have certain perceptions about these friends, so that affected me. But now I want to be different. I want to be grateful when they come to me and say that, because I know that they're trusting me, they feel comfortable with me, and they feel safe. And I'm sure there are many brothers and sisters and monastic siblings sitting here who have the fortunate to be in the presence of our friends who come and open their hearts to share with us. I'd like us to listen to one sound of the bell. I want to end this part by sharing with you a quote from a lay Dharma teacher who was a lesbian in the Plum Village community. She is now 71 years old. She said that when it comes to gender identity and have social acceptance, her generation, they drilled the well, but didn't strike the water yet. Young people these days are getting the water. You are getting the water. So again, gender is not an obstacle to enlightenment. When a friend comes and shares about gender identity, some of us will have the tendency to ask, are you sure? Do you ever want to be normal again? But do we know that statements like that are not helpful? Because we were trained to think in certain ways. So when is it our turn to change our thoughts? If not now, then when? So to all the LGBTQIA plus friends out there, please know I got your back. And I'm sure there are many monastics who got your back. Day by day, we continue to learn and to create a monastery that is safe for you, so that you can really feel at home and feel included. Because we know you want to have an internal personal relationship with us, with the people that you come in contact with. And we can only do that when we feel connected. My niece, who is a teenager, she once shared with me, "Auntie, I am bisexual." And if it wasn't for the LGBTQIA plus community, I would have asked her, "What is wrong with you?" But thankfully, I did not ask her that question. Nor did I make a statement like, "Oh, you're just going through some phase." So I thank you for educating me, for helping me to not make my niece suffer. Once we are able to be honest with our own thoughts, our weaknesses, then we know what to do and what not to do. We have many types of relationships, but one relationship that we cannot eradicate is the relationship we have with our family. May I have a raise of hand who still have your parents living with you or still alive? Congratulations. I see most of you are raising your hands. How many of you are able to communicate well with your parents? Could you please raise your hand? It's very nice. That number of hands raising is almost the same as the number who still have parents alive. Good job. Can you tap yourself on the shoulder? Is it your mindfulness practice that helps you to have this beautiful relationship? Raise your hand if you think that was the antidote. Good. Tap yourself on the shoulder one more time. You know, when my mom was diagnosed with colon cancer, she stopped working. I would take her to chemotherapy, radiation, acupuncture. There are many images of my mother that I will never forget. But I feel one that stood out the most was one night I was standing behind the curtain, sneak in to look at my mom standing in front of the altar. She would gently take an incense, stand in front of the altar with so much reverence and sacredness, bow deeply, and place the incense on the incense holder. Was my mom asking for her ancestors to protect her and keep her safe? Yes, perhaps. But my mom was also using that opportunity to express her deep gratitude. There wasn't a night that she didn't go to bed without lighting the incense on the altar. And that made me ask myself, what am I doing daily to express my gratitude to my parents, to the people that took care of me, to my ancestors? And I invite you to ask the same questions. For the last 12 years, every time I lay down on my bed before falling asleep, I would place my 2 hands on my forehead to express my gratitude to my parents for so many things that they did for me. Whether we are a highly intelligent person, a successful business person, very skilled at many things. But you know, one thing that we cannot do is to change your own diaper. Have you ever thanked your parents for changing your own diaper when you were mad at them or angry at them? Who here thought of that when you were angry at your parents? Raise your hand. Oh, no one. Because that's not our tendency. Our tendency is to think about the harsh words, their neglect, whenever we were angry at our parents. We didn't remember the times they changed our diaper. We didn't remember the time they fed us when we could feed ourselves. We couldn't see the many sleepless nights they had lying in bed with tears, not knowing what to do to help you. Do you ever have that thought? I want to share with you a little bit about my relationship with my dad. In my heart, he was once known as an angry person who used his power, harsh words, and wasn't supportive to my parents, to my mom. I was very angry at him for all those things. And so, when someone sees me for the first time, or sees my father for the first time and knowing me for some time, they would say, Sister Nghiem, you are so much like your dad. And I dislike that statement so much because there wasn't anything about my dad that I want to be like. I wish people would stop saying that. And I wish that people would tell me, you're like your mom. Because mom was so sweet, tender, caring. Yet, many years, the only sentence I heard was, you are like your mom. You are like your dad. Anyone here experienced that? Could you raise your hand? There you go. So I'm not the only one, right? I'm not the only strange one. There you go. So before you tell somebody, say, oh, you are so much like your dad, be careful. Even though our intention might be pure, but that because of that experience of that person with their father, they would only think of the negativity. But after practicing for some time, I started to realize something, that when people say this statement, what they meant is this. They were able to see this in my father, who is someone who has the capacity to be friend with a stranger, always being present when somebody needs help. And who has the capacity to dwell happily in the present moment, even though for someone who experienced the Vietnam War. Why didn't I think about my dad's positivity when somebody said, Sister Nghiem, you are so much like your dad, and celebrate that? See, I was able to change my thinking, my thoughts. And so now when somebody say that statement, I feel very happy, and I'm so happy to be the daughter of my father. Before I would just focus on the don'ts. Of my dad. And I would have more resentment and toward him. My dad never said, I love you. My dad never joined my tennis game. My dad rarely say, I am so proud of you. But I didn't think of the other don'ts that my dad didn't do. For example, my dad didn't come home drunk at night. My dad did not hit my mom. My dad didn't decide to stay in Vietnam. He decided to come to the United States so that his children can have a brighter future. My dad didn't forbid me to become a monastic nun. He didn't support, but he didn't forbid. So when I thought about this, I was filled with gratitude. So dear friends, don't just focus on the don'ts that our parents didn't do and that will continue to make us suffer. But focus on the don'ts that they didn't do that make you happy. And I'm sure You can write at least 5 down, even if you have such a horrible relationship with your parents. Did your parents ever put you in danger? Ask ourselves questions. It was in this meditation hall when one friend shared in a session of being, I could not look at myself in the mirror because I resemble so much of my father. And my father sexually abused me when I was very young. But it was through her coming to the monastery, being the presence of the monastic community and other friends, and really put the practice into her daily life, she was able to reconcile with the Father within and was able to look at herself in the mirror with a smile. So when we really practice coming back to our breathing, aware of our breathing, we can see many wonders. And in order for us to have beautiful relationship with our thoughts, with our parents, with our family members, the first place we should start is relationship with ourselves. I want us to listen to one sound of the bell, and then we will do an exercise together. Let us continue to sit in a very comfortable position and bring up our 2 hands. Look at them with eyes of love and gratitude. Use your right hand to massage your left hand, and use your left hand to gently touch your right hand. Remember the day that you were first born, small, tiny hands. Your parents or grandparents or caretaker were there, and then they put their index finger into the palm of your left hand, and then you would squeeze it gently, tightly. You didn't want to let go because you felt so loved, warmth, protected. Now, remember the day that you went to school for the first time. Your family member took you to cross the road, yeah? You held their hands very tight, but then you had to let go. And you waved them goodbye. And then you became a teenager. And you held the hand of the person you had crushed, butterfly in your stomach. Oh, wow. Remember that feeling? Sitting here. I certainly remember my own experience when I was 16 in the computer class. He was holding my hand. I was holding his hand. I didn't dare to look at him in the face because I was too shy. But I did feel the warmth, the love, and the care. But then, as we know, I learned, love is only beautiful in the first 3 months. After that, it was different. That was the reality of life I didn't know. Then I became a nun. I cannot go to a monk and say, "Brother, may I hold your hand?" I will be kicked out of the monastery if I do that, right? And so I learned to hold my two hands. I learned to say to myself, why do I need to hold somebody's hands to feel love, cared, protected, when I have my two hands that I can hold whenever I want, wherever I want? Even when I'm in the restroom waiting to defecate or urinate, placing my hands like this and breathe, knowing that I'm able to hold my two hands. Whenever I feel a little bit nervous giving a Dharma talk, sitting at the podium, I hold my two hands like this to tell myself, I'm here for you. See, I am creating a relationship with myself by coming back to my body. And my hands are the most visible part of my body that I can touch, that I can feel, that I can hold, and so that I can heal. In 2018, I gave myself a gift. And that gift, I didn't have to go buy anywhere. I just make this aspiration that every time my hands are in contact with anything, holding a cup of water, a feeling of gratitude would arise. How wonderful it is to have water to drink, to have a cup, to be able to put this cup of water in my mouth and swallow my water. Because I witnessed my mom was too weak to be able to hold a cup of water on the last days of her life. So I'm doing this for my mom. I'm doing it for myself. If I place my hands on my rope, my brown rope, my monastic brown rope, I'm grateful to Thầy, to the community, for showing me the path, for giving me this opportunity in this lifetime to walk on this spiritual path and to have a robe to cover my body. I feel that when we encourage ourselves in times of difficulties. That's a way for us to show compassion to ourselves. There were times I received so many false accusations from the people that I care, from the people that I trust. And these false accusations hurt like heck. But how many people I have in my life that I can share my pain, my wound with? Not many. So I learned to share with myself. I invited peace and mindfulness to be with me when I am sad. I invited my teacher to walk in front of me when I walk in the forest so that my sadness can be transformed. And you know what I do often nowadays? Yeah, this might sound funny. Let me see if you laugh when I say this. Recently, I had a retreat, alone but not lonely, just for myself. And every night, for 3 nights, I had Zoom call with myself. Yeah, some of you are thinking, you are so strange, Sister Nghiem. No, I am not strange. I am just unique. Yes. So in the past year and a half, I had many Zoom calls with many people. But this time, I want to have Zoom call with myself. I want to look at myself in the screen to see if I'm able to accept myself for how I look. Will I have the capacity to accept the acne on my face, the wrinkles? Am I able to smile when I see myself on the screen? So I invite you to do it. Have Zoom call with yourself. This is a way to show love. Instead of sitting there and write love letter to yourself, you can do Zoom call to yourself. Yeah, we have so much technologies, and we can be creative. Share, open a heart, share a vulnerability. That's what I did. When I had such negative thinking, I say to myself, how low can you go, Sister Nghiem? You want to go lower with your negative thoughts? Okay. Let's see how low you can go. Now, does that make you feel any better or worse? And surely, it didn't make me feel any better. I was sitting there just observing my own thoughts and say it out loud. And I recorded the Zoom call with myself so that later on I can listen to it. And last but not least, one time I was having this Zoom call with a group of children. And of course, we know that children, they're very intelligent, sensitive, and bright. So we asked this 8-year-old boy, when you go to school and your peers say unkind words to you and bully you, how do you feel? You know, right away, without any thinking, he would say, my heart cracks and falls down like ashes to my stomach. Yeah. My heart cracks open, falls down into ashes falls down like ashes into my stomach. So don't think words don't matter. Thoughts don't matter. They all matter. We sure don't want to crack anybody's hearts. Because some people, their heart cracks, falls down to their stomach, and there's no way out. There's no way for them to let it out. It stays in the stomach, in the gut for so long. That's why it's so difficult for some of them to touch the miracles of lives. So we ourselves should not crack our own heart with the negative words. We keep saying, you're not good enough. You're horrible. You're no good. You're useless. Even this marker has value, has purpose in life. What makes us think we don't have value in life? Even fingernail has purpose. Even a notebook has purpose. What makes us think we don't have purpose in life? Before, whenever I listened to love songs, especially when I was a teenager, I would think about my boyfriend. Who here listen to love songs? Can you raise your hand? Come on, raise high. Be happy when you raise your hand listening to love songs. No need to be hesitant like this, okay? Yeah. Do we only think about the person we're in love with when we listen to love songs? Or do we think about ourselves when we listen to love songs? Now, how many of you think about the person you're in love when you listen to love songs? Can you raise your hand? Okay. Now, how many of you think of yourself when you listen to love songs? Raise your hand. Only 2 people. I'm the 3rd person, 4th person. Okay. My ex-boyfriend gave me a list of CDs of his favorite songs. He would listen so that he could think of me. And so, now that as a monastic, sometimes I have to admit these songs do come up, but I don't think about my ex-boyfriend anymore. I would think of myself. So one day when I was walking from the nunnery to the dining hall, suddenly this song came up. Can I sing to you? Brothers and sisters, please forgive me for water seeds of worldly love, but this is how the song goes. I was walking and then I was singing inside. This is the time I want to say I love you. This is the love I want that lasts forever. This is the time to say my love is here to stay. I want forever and ever you be mine. And I was thinking about myself the whole time, not anyone else. And I sing this every day before I go to sleep in my sitting meditation. And I would have these goosebumps inside. And especially when I hold my own hands and I sing this song, wow, the feeling is much better than holding my ex-boyfriend's hand and walking from the parking lot to the school. Please try it. Brother Min Young, could you please type these lyrics in the chat box so our friends can save it? Friends, make sure you copy and paste this song, okay? This is the time I want to say I love you. This is the love I want that lasts forever. This is the love I want that lasts forever. This is the time to say, my love is here to stay. This is the time to say, my love is here to stay. I want forever and ever. You'll be mine. Don't think about the person you're in love when you sing this song to yourself. Just think about yourself. And I can reassure you that your relationship with yourself will be very strong. You will be able to suffer without breaking. You will be able to restore, to make it last, solidify, strengthen, and repay. Dear beloved community, thank you for your listening and for being here. Let us all continue to fall in love with life, with the present moment, and with ourselves. And remember that self-compassion is not equivalent with selfish. Self-compassion is self-compassion. Thank you. May you be peaceful and happy.
Dear community, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you, Sister Nghiem, for your Dharma talk. If you can bear with me, we have a few important announcements for everybody. So after this, we have lunch for Eastern and Central time zone. And for all three time zones in the afternoon and the evening, we have a special opportunity to have a special workshop, Young Men, Women, LGBTQIA+. And we've just heard a Dharma talk from Sister Nghiem on this topic, but this workshop is precious opportunity for us to go deeper into what was talked about during this talk. So, and what's also special about this workshop is that for the past couple of days, we've had Dharma sharing, and mostly that is from our special time zones. But this workshop, we will come together from 3 time zones. So we'll have a chance to see many, many more faces. So we hope that everybody can come to this workshop. And for us here in Deer Park, or the monastics in the 2 other time zones, Blue Cliff and Magnolia, what we invite you to do is that we'll each find our own devices, find our own places. It may be in your own room or in the common room, and then we'll connect to the Zoom meeting to join this workshop. Does that make sense? Yeah. Another announcement is that for those of us that are interested in receiving the 5 mindfulness trainings on Sunday, because we'll have a ceremony, please fill out the application that the organizing team already emailed to you. But just again, Kenley can link the link, type the link into the chat so that you have the link. So we ask that you fill out the application by lunch today, which is pretty soon. The Deer Park time zone has more hours to fill out the application. And for those of us who are interested and already filled out the application, we will meet tomorrow with a monastic, and the monastic will explain a little bit about the spirit, about the ceremony and the procedure and whatnot. Very easy, very simple. So we ask that for those of us who are taking the 5 MTs and to meet tomorrow. Another announcement is that on Sunday, to close our retreat, we have a closing session. And for those of us who are familiar with the Plum Village tradition, it's also like a be-in. So we'll have performances like to offer songs and special words. It's a joyful time. And we have a chance for people who would like to offer their own song, a performance. So if you would like to offer a performance, you can email the email, which is online@deerparkmonastery.org. And again, Kenley can type that in the chat so you have it. So that the organizing team has a list of performances that will be ready. And what's also nice and special about this closing session is that it's not only national across 3 time zones, but we'll join international Plum Village, France. So we'll see many, many, many more faces, people from Europe and etc. So this is a lot of information, but as you see, it's very important. But if you forget, the organizing team will email you again with all of this information. And last but not least, tomorrow morning we have a session of question and answers. Very precious opportunity to be together, to listen to from a panel of monastics and also lay Dharma teachers. So if you have a question on your heart, this is a good opportunity for you to ask. And tomorrow morning, you can ask a question live via Zoom. So just so we know that tomorrow morning we have a session of question and answers. So that's it for the announcements, and thank you again dear Sangha. We hope you have a good day.